Honorable adjudicator, these days many fashion companies such as Zara, H&M, Forever 21 is a trend. However, it is being the principle of destroying the earth. Furthermore, the workers who work at the fast fashion shop are working for a long time for little money. Mr. Madam Speaker, my role in this debate is the Prime Minister. As a, um, as a Prime Minister, I will deliver two strong arguments. First, workers' right, and second, environmental harm. But before going on to our arguments, let me give definitions to some keywords. First, this house means the global society, and second, fast fashion means clothes that are very cheap and often sold in online. It is usually made by sweatshop worker. Now, going straight to our first argument, workers' right. In the labor laws and the regulations, they are limiting hours of work, safety standards, and fair wages. However, in the fast fashion company, they don't give much money for them, but make them work for a long time. Furthermore, because the government doesn't care and control these companies,
Yêu
this is
ỏi
an
nè.
act that um declined. Furthermore, because the government don't care and control these companies, this is an act that the government doesn't fulfill their responsibility. Because the government doesn't fulfill their responsibility, our team thinks that we should pass the motion. Now, going straight to our second argument, environmental harms. Because the fast fashion clothes are made with cheap ingredients such as nylon, it makes greenhouse gases such as CO2 or carbon. Whenever we make the clothes or burn them, these greenhouse gases come out. Because there will be serious environmental harm in the long term, I think this house should ban the sale of fast fashion
Yêu ỏi
for
sir.
now and decline for the sale of fast fashion for now and the future. So at the end of the day, our team wants to establish a citizens' well-being society. Also, I want the judge to know that the problem in the status quo is a serious problem. Due to our two arguments, I'm proud to propose that we had won the debate. Thank you for listening.
We strongly believe that the sale of fast fashion is an affordable tool for everyone that benefits the society. We think that running away with the problem is literally unstrategic to make a better productive world. Our counter policy is that we also agree that the exploitation may happen in current society, but rather in our world, rather than going away with the problem, we would like to ensure a safe environment and target the problem now in society. Indirectly, of the government side. So to achieve this, there are some examples that we will actively implement in our world. So first of all, more enforcement of labor laws to prevent exploitation. The government will actively monitor those processes in factories or sweatshops. Once they find some problems, they will enforce regulations where they make the company leader to pay fines or get highly punished. And also, we will have high salaries and negotiation in between the companies. Second, once it is noticed that the company is exploiting the workers, the government will make people notice and tell it to the media. As mentioned, the government will make this report to the issue to the media, letting consumers notice this fact. So therefore, we will make people to be aware of the exploitation, making companies motivated and providing a good environment for the employees. And third, government giving more useful services and education to the poor. We said in our first point that companies will pay high fines to the government. These budgets will be used in educating poor people and giving access to the diverse job opportunities at least. Before I move on, I want to clarify about the main stakeholders in today's debate. First of all, the customers, especially low income and the family that are many family members in the customer members. And second, the company. So for some models, none of the government's benefits are exclusive in today's debate. There's I said about our side harm to the environment because we use a lot of materials without recycling. That's not exclusive because such brands like Chanel or Gucci also use carbon footprints in their products and they're not a fast fashion company, right? And that will lead to a world where they fail to be eco-friendly. And they said and they talked about unrelevant things and the exploitation and workers' right. How can they solve this? Like they're just banning and that is not effective. That makes their mechanism too weak. And if they ban it, people will be unemployed or go to another shop that exploits them because they don't have another choice or a lack of education or knowledge. Just running away to the problem will not directly solve this problem because of the fast fashion environment. And our first argument, moving on to the affordability of these poor people. So our side prioritizes the affordability because we protect these poor. If we ban these fast fashions, it becomes very difficult for poor and young kids to afford these fashions. Then the government crashes the future for the kids where are interested in fashion. Our site will let those young kids to be dreaming about their fashion designers or just wearing some pretty clothes, right? And it's the freedom of the consumers that will be the main reason why the fast fashion clothes are made in the first place, for having a cheap price and the affordability possible for these diverse people and the customers that were willing to buy these. And we don't harm them through our policy, and we want to talk about the low income customers and the customers with the many family members. So in terms of low income customers, they have a hard time to maintain their life only buying needed things. So in terms of clothes, they also need to buy cheap prices only because they are needed and they're low income, right? And we would like to include those workers from the fast fashion company to be in those low income customers too. And in terms of customers with many family, in terms of these family customers, they have a hard time because they need to buy clothes for every child in their children days. And our second argument of job loss and economic loss. In terms of job loss, even if the government side argues about the special workers getting low income, even though they work a lot and the labor environment is bad, in terms of when we ban fast fashion, it turns out as a situation where those workers lose their job. To add on, yeah, we find another job for the special workers after, but the main reason why those special workers end up getting those kind of jobs is because the low income, whatever they hard, is the only thing they can do this job, right? So the job itself is harsh, but we need to have money in the first place. So it's their fault. It's not their fault to be not born as not rich, right? So this means that when we ban fashion, so these workers can also not afford to buy any clothes because they're included in the low income customers, right? So therefore, the government side is wanted to protect those workers, but however giving more harms to the society and the economic harms to the society, and therefore how to propose, no oppose.
Mr. Madam Speaker, Zara, H&M, and Forever 21 are prominent brands that devour with popularity. Additionally, they're infamous for fast fashion. Additionally, so individuals in our society ignore this fact regardlessly for their own convenience. In the status quo, the issue of fast fashion is becoming an urgent problem, encouraging people to buy these clothing and changing the social atmosphere in a society that doesn't consider the total harm initially. So, Judge, the opposition team is also thinking about this motion particularly, but not the literal harm that it can cause to the whole citizen and the society and the environment circumstances. So our government team believes that banning fast fashion is the get-go of environmental support for the society. Now I will give my rebuttals. So the leader of opposition claimed that the government are already taking care of these labor laws. Okay, so Judge, is this necessary in reality? Zara is one of the most famous brands in the US, but it is working very well and is still using sweatshop workers. So is the problem fixed? No. So in reality, even if the government says that they will take care of these workers, this is not very necessary. And also adding the opposition team's point, if they are really supporting the poor people who are actually working for the small, even for the regardless of the small income working in the fast fashion companies, and if we go through like the opposition's motion, like banning these like sweatshop workers and the company to like get these employees with little money, this is not actually like supporting the poor people either. And this is contradictory for the opposition's argument because they say they will support the poor people, but they say that will get fired of these sweatshop workers who are actually the
ma'am,
poor. Yes.
you guys mentioned that we actually contradict our case by saying that the poor people are actually going to get fired, but they're going to get fired by your policy because you guys are banning these sweatshops.
So your opposition team said that they will ban the government will ban these companies who are using sweatshop workers. But if they actually ban these sweatshop workers from working, the poor people you like lose this job because the workers in the sweatshop who are mainly working are actually the poor people. Okay, now moving on. So looking at the short term, the poverty individuals might struggle with the burden. While looking at the long term, the decreasing quality and the more clothing getting wasted, the environment is turning harder for the whole society to function. And what about the other individuals who are trying to consider the whole point? So they're also going to get infected and harmed while like living their daily life because of these fast fashion. So not to give like the whole society the harm, we need to stop this from functioning. Moving on to my third argument, the decrease of the clothing's quality. Judge, fast fashion is the main concept of increasing amounts of clothing with cheap prices. So what does this description mean is clear. The whole quality of the clothing decreases. This isn't only about the outlooks and the appearances, but the degree of the sturdiness of a clothing. In the consumer's perspective, the individuals keep purchasing clothes that worn out easily, and this also affects the consumers, right, because they have to repeatedly pay their money for non-worn out clothes. Judge, this is not beneficial for the consumer or the environment. The consumer keeps wasting clothes, and through the process, more and more clothes end up in the bin. If the government doesn't stop these trash piles, the more fast fashion brands appear and the low quality clothing and waste will appear. I'm proud to propose. Thank you.
If Loa was once a sweatshop worker, even though she quit since she's a poor person, she can't reach high jobs. Loa will still need to go find other factories to work, such as Baskin Robbins or like McDonald's. If they care about poor people, poor people's narrative of gov doesn't work, because reality is that only other things that Loa could do is going to part-time jobs. That environment is not only exclusive on sweatshops. It's much more better to stay in the work spot rather than moving around and looking for new places to work, because it comes at the end that they still have bad working environments. Then we need to stop avoiding the issue and start looking for regulations. Our side's regulation of labor laws could be the rise of minimum wage, prioritizing free time, etc., etc. Then this is good for consumers and the workers, because the workers could work in a much more safer environment and the consumers could afford clothes that much more easily. Then the weighing of respect is already in the side opposition. Moving on to reputations. They say that we can't take care of these workers because companies like Zara are already so popular, but they don't care about it. Government does not listen to speech of Loa. Our policy is literally mentioning that we will make a separate labor law, that we will prioritize free time, and we will also prioritize.
POI.
Oh yes.
So the opposition team stated that there is already a law in the government that supports these like kind of slavery labor, but you're saying that you will like your policy will make a new law of it. There's already a law.
Again, government is not listening to our speeches. Loa's policy was that there isn't an existing law of that. We will make a law of priority to make prioritizing of free time and giving higher salary. This is not negotiable, because this is a fact that our policy would actually create, and it's realistic because it's not because this is a future work policy, not an already existing one. So we don't understand why you guys keep twisting the debate and saying that this is already an existing policy and it doesn't work properly.
Sir.
Oh, no, thank you. They say they don't seem to understand the motion. Their side says that our side is making these poor people fire by banning it. Their side is supposed to support banning it. Then the DPM statement does not stand, because it becomes nonsense when you start banning these sweatshop brands. Poor people will become fired, right? So there's nonsense that we make people like our side will start people making be fired, but your side is actually banning it. So it doesn't make sense, and you're contradicting your own case.
Why?
Sure, no, thank you. Moving on to short add-ons. Our argument 2 was about economic loss. The companies are getting harmed when the fast fashions get banned. Fast fashion is already popular in status quo, so for providing a affordable price for even the rich and poor gap will be increased too. Moving on to our final argument is about individual harms. When following the case of government, the stakeholders, which are the consumers and the workers, would be harmed. We say that their side is just avoiding to fixing problems, and they're just broadly trying to ban sweatshops. Then it's their side's burden to prove how likely our policy on our side won't work and how banning is a moral decision. Going back, we say that the weighing should also include which side gives a better world to these stakeholders and which side will worsen the situation after the policy of each side is given. Both metrics will be won by us. 2 parts. One, individual harms is towards the consumers. These days, fast fashion is shaped into one genre because it attracts people. Cheap prices, pretty looking, etc., etc. They attract a lot of people who are interested in fashion but couldn't afford it because of financial issues. Then the government side is blocking the way for these citizens to afford these kinds of fashion. Then the fashion industry becomes a thing where only rich people could afford. Government crushes the brilliant minds of the young ones. This poor could only be protected inside opposition. 2, this could cause harm to the workers. Reality does not change even though they ban it. A lot of poor will become unemployed and cannot afford these cheap clothes. We do not get the benefit of the government because they just let poor lose their jobs. Then the poor will need to find other jobs and will likely not be successful in reality because they cannot really afford and succeed actually. In the reality, they will end up going to other factories. Before I end, let's just talk about how the DPM's reply about the POI. DPM assumed that all of those sweatshop workers are so poor, and so we're contradicting making our own case. However, Loa said that there's these sweatshop workers who are also included as a low-income customer. Therefore, we can't tell if we ban fast fashion, they cannot even buy the clothes and be an unemployer. We're very proud to oppose.
Okay, so Honorable Educator, as we mentioned in our previous speaker's speech, the main stake from this debate is the workers and also the consumers. And our team had directly identified that the opposition team is not even considering about these people, and they're just particularly considering of the society and also the motion. My words to government bit, in this debate will prove you why we are the only team who can ensure the exclusive benefit of the debate, and also prove why the opposition team is only cherry-picking their favorite point in this debate. Now, first clash. I think the prior question of this clash is whether the elimination of fast fashion will be actually beneficial for the citizens, right? Judge, if we have totally three analysis to take this clash, and A, the workers' rights, the B, to practice the protection of the citizens, and lastly, C, the consumer misleads of the products. So first of all, over mentioned in the info slide of the motion, tons of sweatshop workers are working for hours and receiving extremely absurd incomes to extend their lives. This makes poor minorities to flow in slippery slope because they are unable to earn enough money, and if they strike out the sweat workers. Judge, I want to emphasize that this is a clear prejudice and also the violation toward the workers' rights. And please remember that the opposition team is only making the problem worse. And since they are supporting the sale of the fast fashions. Now, second, as in this point, we have 2 points to support this, and one, the environment problems, and B, also overmentioned the workers' rights. So, Judge, following the characteristic that fast fashion can be used for a long time among the citizens and individuals, tons of accepted.
Won't workers' right be achieved on our side because we never forced them to work in these sweatshop in the first place, and it's their own choice to go in this individual sweatshop works in the first place.
Pardon?
You guys say that you guys will prioritize workers' right, but isn't workers' right prioritized more on our side because you guys because it's their own choices to go in these sweatshops in the first place.
Okay, so Madam Speaker, I want to emphasize that there is there is still a law which is trying to ensure the workers' rights, and we identify that the workers still work in low quality environments, and in this point, I want to emphasize this law are not efficient, and the last way of the workers to do is to strike out of the sweat workers. And so I think their POIs is not actually very logical. And I will move back to my speech and one environment to the workers' rights. So Judge, following to the characteristic that fast fashion can be used for a long time, tons and millions of trashes are being abandoned because fast fashion can maintain for a long time. And Honorable Educator, I want you to know that the opposition team's policy is making the environment issues more serious and also fail to ensure that the main responsibility of the government to protect the citizens and to overmention the workers will suffer in extending their own lives because they get into a slippery slope. Why? So now lastly, since fast fashion often makes exaggerated advertisements, people are confused of these products and misunderstand that the products are in high quality. Judge, the opposition team is only violating the responsibility of the government to protect the citizens because they don't have any alternatives and solutions to protect the citizens' right to know the actual information. Due to my clashes, I think our team's argument can be logical, and now I'll move on to my second clash, which is the word comparison. I think the opposition team is trying to ensure the workers' rights, but I want to emphasize that they already failed to ensure their rights because we have totally two reasons. A, there is actually a law about this, and B, they don't work in they work in a not good environment, and lastly, C, there will be no jobless people. I want to emphasize the last point, which is there will be no jobless people because the opposition team it is the opposition team's main rebuttal, and the opposition team said if the motion passes, there will be more minorities which are jobless, and they will find other sweat workers, shops. However, this is not true because the minorities will receive thoughts that their work isn't a very good work, and I think I will predict that the minorities will find other jobs which is a very stable and also constantly earn money. So I think our argument has been logical in this debate and part of the purpose that win the debate. Thank you.
Before any answering clashes and identifying the point that we win this debate, a few clarifications that I want to offer first government side. A, we have a counter policy in enforcing labor laws. We are considering these floors that are exploding and is a problem of status quo. The reason why nowadays companies did not change their behavior is because consumers do not know the reality of exploitation and cannot be aware with the problem. It is because the government is not actively censoring and monitoring and not directly sending to the media platforms. Therefore, people do not correctly notice this and be aware to this. Companies cannot be motivated to make a safer environment to these exploited workers. Therefore, the total assumption of the government side that current policy does not work is not true because they even did not characterize the status quo and the current status quo since prime minister. Government side is just running away with a problem that is very severe and making the poor keep on working on unsafe and dangerous environment. Therefore, government not out of order did not prove how their policy is the best way to solve exploitation. We have regulation in our world where it all relies on the point on just characterizing the problem. Be on points of environment, right? We believe that is out of the debate on solving environmental issues. Most of the company all give some negative effects on the whole society unless they prove how this will be effective. This point cannot stand because every company harms the environment and gives some effects. Following the case of government, they're just supporting to ban the whole thing that harms the environment, and there will be another debate in terms of no, thank you, environments and corporations because this is not exclusive in this debate. Now, then moving on to our first clash, which side better protect the main stakeholders and the poors who got exploited in today's debate. Loa said in her second argument that because the sweatshop workers are included in the group of the low-income customers too as getting a low income from the company, so she talked about the loop that goes on and again. They will just keep on being employed in those workplaces that cannot give a safe environment, right? We believe that if this cycle keeps on going on and on, government cannot solve the root cause that these people are not educated and do not have knowledge to go on a high quality company that give safe environment. No, thank you. Therefore, in our side, the government supporting these people, more monitoring and giving companies to incentivize to make a safer environment is much more better to protect these poor people. We are more aware than the government side where we have more comparative where we protect these people. So moving on to some worst case comparison and best case comparison. Even in our worst case, where exploitation still exists in fast fashion, no thank you. The government actually actively educates these people, even if they are in a low class income, and even if these people are working in an unsafe environment. However, in Gao's best case, poor people out of the unhealthy labor environment of fast fashion, but losing their job and unhealthy labor environment of the other companies, giving a cycle that they go into company again and again that does not provide a safe environment for them. Then at the end of the day, because our worst case is better than the Gao's best case, we at least provide better regulations and better policy than the Gao side. We win this first clash. Now, then second clash is out of benefits versus harms in general. A on environment, right? Even if we agree to the point that at least this makes sense in debate, we win this point. Why? More aware citizens of those problems in our counterfactual way. People will know all the issues in certain companies, right, in our policy. Therefore, if they do not easily buy products and have negative perception and negative reputation for these companies, companies will change their behavior better on our side because they want profit and they want people to buy out of order buy their products. While in comparative, government sides is just running away of environmental problems and cannot even guarantee that other companies will change their behavior and how future generation will change. They just assume that just banning will solve the environment, but this is not the case. Other companies still exist and they should prove how they can change these behaviors of companies, but we at least aware these citizens to make the companies motivated to have a safe environment and protect their environment. We believe that our side is more effective and government side policy is just non-effective and cannot be proved in this debate. Now, lastly, on economic stability, we prove to you poor people just like losing their job with no opportunity who are unemployed in the government side world. This leads to instability in society, and we at least give further education and also regulatory forms to solve the behavior of the companies, leading to more economic stability of these poor people, more than proud to oppose when this two clutches.
We don't understand how the government is going to win this debate when the only thing they are saying throughout their whole speeches is about how our side having bad environment and we don't give workers right. Let's first weigh about workers' right. We give workers' rights better because we never force them to work. It's their own choices and their individual autonomy. Yes, the government is going to measure that these labor laws are not going to work. That's why our policy would develop these labor laws. The labor laws should be developed and not be negotiated with the company because we want to support these laborers in the first place. We're not dumb. We know these labor laws exist, and we know why. We know that they are not working well. That's why we're developing it. Stop giving random responses and stop giving random assumptions because just because current labor laws are bad, that doesn't mean we can't develop. It won't be able to develop it. Their side is just keep giving random assumptions and random responses about this. That there's current labor laws about this, and this doesn't currently work well. But we think that this policy would be the right solution for these laborers because our policy would give develop such labor laws such as more income and more free time. This will lead to a much more safer workspace and safer workforces to these laborers, which will lead that they will be able to learn more money and more income, and their quality of life would go up at the end. So it gives two benefits and two exclusive benefits on our side, because their side, when they fire and when they ban these sweatshops, the only thing these poors could do is going to find for other factories such as Baskin Robbins or like McDonald's. So the only thing the poors could do on their side is just looking for other workforces. Their side needs to start bringing up some points what their side is going to do as an alternative to make this stop happening, and how the quality of life for laborers, how are they going to prioritize the quality of life for laborers. Let's now weigh the bad environment part. This exists on both sides, and it's not exclusive. Every fashion designer such as Chanel or Gucci or Nike has some sort of rate of pollution. Then at the end, their side needs to also support banning these companies, because there is no company with no pollution. If their main reason why they want to ban sweatshop is because of the environment, the role of fashion could not exist on your side. So rather, it's better to live inside an op in this case. So we think that the winning points are already chosen by this, and we say that we're the ones to bring this debate. I'm proud to oppose.
This house will ban the sale of fast fashion. We strongly agree on this motion, Mr. Speaker. So, honorable adjudicator, I want you to know that our team is more likable to guarantee workers' basic right. Further, our team is more reliable for the society and the environment to depend on. So, in the status quo, these days, fast fashion companies like H&M or Zara is a trend. However, sweatshop workers' rights are not guaranteed, and it is a main principle that makes greenhouse gases, including CO2, methane, and carbon. My role in this debate is the government reply, and I'm here to give 2 points why we had won the debate. But before going on to our 2 points, let me emphasize our best argument, which is workers' right. In the labor laws, it says the limitation of working condition, wages, and hours of work. However, the government team is taking care of sweatshop workers, is not taking care of sweatshop workers. So this is an act that government's responsibility is not fulfilled. Now, going on to our 2 points. First, responding to Deputy Leader of Opposition, I want him to remember that there is already a labor law. Going on to our second point, I think the opposition team is not critically thinking about the environmental problem, which is really a serious problem. The opposition team is only emphasizing that they never force the workers. However, the speakers rebutted these that they are in a slippery slope because they should earn more money. Finally, going on to our word comparison, in the opposition world, sweatshop workers' rights will be not guaranteed, and the environmental problem will be maximized. However, in our world, sweatshop workers' right will be provided, and we don't have to consider about global warming. At the end of the day, I want you to consider about the arguments, rebut, clashes, and points that our team had mentioned. So I'm proud to propose that we had won the debate.